9.5 years. 9.5 years is how long it took for the second season of The Devil is a Part-Timer to come out. Fans eagerly waited for all that time, with nothing but radio silence to keep them company. But what they didn't know is that the animators and directors slaved over this anime in a way that would put Yuri Norstein to shame. Like Excalibur being forged in fire, the studio was creating something that would change the very course of human history. And the result? The Devil is a Part-Timer. One of the first anime that I actually watched and enjoyed that wasn't Dragon Ball or One Piece. I knew about this anime before I knew what the concept of isekai was. The only other one I had watched at the time being Digimon. It was one of the first isekai to put a twist on the genre's growing number of tropes and stereotypes. But even if you didn't know that, it was still an extremely serviceable show. It had really good bits, funny characters, and would constantly introduce new concepts. And whether it had to do with McDonald's or Ente Isla, the intensity in which the characters treated each situation would remain the same. It wasn't the most innovative anime to ever come out, but it did most of what it did with an above average score. With decent support, it made it very strange that the show was never renewed for a second season. There was speculations as to why that would be, but as the years passed by, the prospect that the show would ever get the illustrious season 2 began to seem less and less likely. So when this summer anime season was approaching, and the lineup included The Devil is a Part-Timer, it was received with an outstanding... cool. The problem with it was that too much time had passed. The people who had once been excited at the idea of a season 2 were less enthusiastic. More isekai came out and pushed the limits of how many twists to the genre people could create. And believe it or not, one or two of them were actually pretty funny along the way. So to have made Devil is a Part-Timer Season 2 stand out in this current climate of anime, it needed to be developed by a studio who could get the job done. Season 1 was made by White Fox, who made some small anime that you may have known as Fucking Boom! Fucking Boom! Fucking Boom! And they did a pretty good job with animation and choreography. They weren't the most mind-blowing scenes, but they did emphasize the comedic effect for the jokes, and managed to make the fight scenes look pretty cool. But for Season 2, the project wouldn't be handled by White Fox, and instead be developed by a studio known as Studio 3 Honkin' Zebras, with their claim to fame being, oh god, why? Why? Someone please help. I'd believe a fucking zebra made this show. Now, going into the actual anime itself, it was bad. Like, very bad. It picked up right where the last season left off, and right off the bat, something felt a little bit wrong. I don't know how to explain it, but the characters looked so weird. Faces looked rounder and expressions were far less expressive. If you happen to look closely at some of the backgrounds and characters, it would just throw you off. Character animations and shading looked far less developed than previous season. They really gave off the energy of, cool, now that we're halfway through, we just have to finish animating. Sir? The show was released yesterday. A lot of the previous voice actors were brought back, and while the performances were more or less the same, I think poor direction led to an overall drop in quality in the voice acting department. The story and jokes themselves actually weren't half bad, maintaining some of the same charm that made the first season so fun. Season 1 felt like a healthy balance of Mao and the crew having their normal human problems and the crazy shit that would come out of Ente Isla. And Season 2 had less fight scenes, less character introductions, less Mickey G's. Instead, the gaps are filled by this little shit. I don't know if it was just poor timing on their part, or if Alice Ramos was the reason Season 2 even got made. But come on. How are you gonna release this when Anya the Anime came out this year? Dumb move, Japan. I found Alice Ramos to be kind of annoying, and the studio's efforts to make her look cute were frankly horrifying. I feel like she had some potential only from reading some of the manga, but it translated very poorly into the anime itself. And the main villain for this season was the Archangel Gabriel. Season 1 had a few people take on the role of the villain, constantly changing who the crew was being threatened by, whether it was angels or demons. But this time, it was just Gabriel, and man was he portrayed very shittily. His interactions were just a walking, huh? Moment. Fight scenes were shit with him, and during the last episode, the climax with him felt so lackluster. Most of the anime's flaws boiled down to poor directive abilities and the lazy animation.
Every character who was previously introduced felt like a washed down version of themselves, while new characters didn't encapsulate the spirit of the previous season or the manga. The sad thing is that we saw the anime had so much potential in the right hands, but it was handled with the least care possible, and let down many of those who waited those 9.5 years. Honkin' Zebras, you fucked up. 5 out of 10.